Here's a mindful man reading another chapter of Barnsley Boyhood. He opened a big brown box, and to his delight, it was full of old LPs, which he was sure Tom would love. He held one up to the light and examined the grooves, but they looked perfect without a scratch to be seen. He carefully placed them in his bag along with a pack of cards he'd found and a rusty old alarm clock. After a while, he was feeling exhausted with all of the rummaging around, and he was beginning to suspect that he smelled. He decided to look for one last item, and he found something of interest, a bright orange sleeping bag. By now his rucksack was bursting at the seams, and he walked home with his bounty, swaying with the weight. Each time he showed his dad, he was surprised and delighted. He plugged in the radio, and it crackled to life, and pop music filled the garage with sound. Then Tom looked at the LPs. "I remember some of these," he said excitedly. "We'll have a listening party tonight," he announced, and he dreamily looked at the covers. "Those knives and spoons will come in handy," he said, "but you'll have to give them a good wash." Josh unravelled the sleeping bag. It seemed to go on forever. "Give it a good shake," said Tom. "We'll have to wash it before we use it." Josh unzipped it a little, and he shook it violently in the air. And to their amazement, a flurry of paper filled the air and settled on the ground. On closer inspection, it wasn't paper. They found it wasn't paper, it was money. The floor was littered with 20, 10, and £5 notes, as if put there by magic. But it wasn't magic, it was good fortune. "Wow," said Tom as he peered at the money in disbelief. "This is incredible," said Tom. "A windfall from heaven." "What shall we do with it?" said Josh. "Where are you going to spend it?" Tom exclaimed, smiling with delight. "This is serendipity," he said, examining the notes just in case. "What's that?" said Josh. "It sounds like an illness." "A happy accident," said Tom. "Fortune has smiled on us today," he said. "It's time for a celebratory meal." Of course, if the money could have been traced, Tom would have handed it in. But he wasn't a saint, and he wasn't going to look a gift horse in the mouth. They were too poor for that. He added the money up, hardly believing his eyes, and it came to just £500. All the excitement had made them both hungry. "Fancy fish and chips for dinner," said Tom. He knew Josh would say yes. It was one of their favourite meals. "This is no ordinary fish and chips," said Tom, grinning. "We're dining out tonight," he said, turning the music up. Tom came back half an hour later, clean-shaven, in his best black suit. He had made a special effort and shined his shoes to a gleaming polish. Josh wore his school blazer as if it was the smartest clothing he possessed. The restaurant was busy, but they found a table in the corner. The meal was delicious. It was different eating fish and chips in a restaurant. There was so much of it that at the end of the meal they were happily stuffed. They drank a toast to Grandad. "I bet he's watching down on us and smiling," said Tom. Josh agreed, looking wistfully at the sky. Tom gave Josh £20 pocket money and instructed him to spend it carefully. Josh had never seen so much money in his life and was determined to make the most of it. "This could keep me in sweets for weeks," he said happily. The next morning, Tom was messing with the radio, changing from station to station. "This is great," he said to Josh as he found a station he liked. "I can cook to this," he said, and he cracked a few eggs into the pan and swayed to the music as the eggs bubbled. Josh was amazed and amused as they were served up in a flourish. "You're getting good at this," Josh said as he gobbled up his eggs. "What's your plan for the day?" Tom asked. Josh wasn't sure and he had to think. "I'm not sure yet, Dad. I haven't made my mind up." "Oh, you'll think of something," said Tom, smiling, getting up from the table. "I'm sorting things out in the garage," he said, but exactly what he did, Tom wasn't sure. Josh wasn't sure. Josh put on his rucksack and pumps. He had a long day ahead and wanted to be prepared. It was another hot day, and he made sure he packed a bottle of water. He set off around the dusty track leading to the edge of the village. He hadn't explored it all, and he was determined to investigate every nook and cranny. He walked about a mile along the dusty path, with bees and butterflies around him like chaperones, bees and butterflies. He loved the sounds of summer, and he wished he could whistle like the birds and understand what they were saying. He suspected if they were whistling a beautiful melody, then they couldn't be saying anything cruel. He loved the dustiness of the ground, it kept his pumps clean, and the one thing he couldn't bear was mud all over his shoes. He could see lovely green fields spread into the distance. One of them had a group of people milling about. As he got nearer, he realized they were playing some kind of game, and as he got even closer, he realized it was cricket. He decided to sit and watch, as it was too glorious a day to run around. He loved the thwack of the ball on bat and the polite way people spoke and applauded.